Prisoners is an American thriller film which follows Keller Dover, a deeply religious and protective father who lives in a small Pennsylvania town with his wife, Grace, and their two children, Ralph and Anna. After Thanksgiving dinner, Keller and his neighbor's girls go missing, and Detective Loki is assigned to the case. As time passes and the investigation goes nowhere, Keller takes matters into his own hands and begins to explore his leads, leading him down a dark and disturbing path. The film opens with Keller Dover and his teenage son, Ralph, sitting in the woods with rifles in their hands. Keller and Ralph are dressed in hunting gear, with backpacks full of supplies slung over their shoulders. Keller takes the opportunity to teach his son about survival skills and the importance of being prepared for anything. Ralph seems to be listening intently, eager to learn from his father. Just then, Ralph spots a deer in the distance and aims with his rifle. Luckily, the bullet hits the deer and it falls to the ground. Ralph and Keller then decide to head home with the deer, but spot a suspicious-looking van driving away from the cabin. Later, the Dover family visits their neighbors, the Birches, for Thanksgiving dinner. The warm and welcoming atmosphere, with the two families sharing a pleasant meal. As the adults chat and catch up with each other, the children of both families, Ralph and Anna from the Dovers and Joy and Eliza from the Birches, play outside. As the sun sets, the parents gather their children to return home, but soon realize that Keller's daughter Anna and Franklin's daughter Joy have gone missing. The happy mood and the warmth of the Thanksgiving meal are converted into an impending horror of the girls' disappearance and the subsequent investigation to find them. The police are called, and Detective Loki is assigned to the case. Detective Loki arrives at the scene, meeting with the girls' parents and police officers. He notes the surrounding area, talks to witnesses, and gathers information about the girls' last known whereabouts. He also instructs other officers to begin a search of the area to try and find any clues or evidence. As the investigation unfolds, Loki begins questioning everyone in both families and anyone else who may have seen the children, including neighbors and witnesses. He takes a meticulous and thorough approach, paying attention to small details and asking questions. He discovers that an RV was parked on the street that day and begins to investigate its owner, Alex Jones, a young man with an IQ of 80 who lives with his Aunt Holly. Loki arrests Alex and brings him in for questioning, but due to his mental disability, Alex cannot provide any useful information. As part of his investigation, Loki starts searching houses of registered sex offenders around the area. He then visits the house of former priest Patrick Dunn and finds him drunk and sleeping. While investigating the house, Loki discovers a dead body in a secret cellar. When Loki questions about the dead body, Dunn reveals that the unknown man came to him and confessed about murdering 16 children. So he locked him in his cellar to stop him from harming any more children. The next day, Alex is released as the police have no significant evidence on him. Furious, Keller tries to hit Alex outside the police station, after which Alex says, "They didn't cry till I left them." Keller tells Loki what Alex just said. Later, Loki goes to Alex's house and asks him what just happened outside the police station and whether he said anything to Keller. Alex denies what he said. Confused, Loki calls Keller and tells him that they can't waste any more time on Alex, leaving Keller disappointed. Keller, however, becomes convinced that Alex is responsible for his daughter's disappearance and decides to take matters into his own hands. He arrives at Alex's house, where he witnesses Alex abusing his dog and singing a song Anna and Joy used to sing while playing. Not able to control himself, Keller confronts Alex and abducts him. The next day, Keller takes Franklin to his old house and shows him that he had kidnapped Alex and keeping him captive until he tells him about their daughters. Franklin is unsure about this and doesn't want to do anything that is against the law. Keller, however, is sure that Alex is the kidnapper and they must get the truth out of him if they ever want to see their daughters. Franklin hesitantly decides to help Keller. Keller then starts to beat and interrogate Alex, hoping to force a confession out of him. He inflicts various forms of physical and psychological pain on Alex. His desperation and rage drive his actions. However, Alex doesn't confess to anything related to the missing girls. On the other hand, Loki starts his research on previously missing kids. Soon he visits Mrs. Milland, a mother of a missing child. She tells him that her son Barry was kidnapped 26 years ago and was never found. Later, in a small, dimly lit interrogation room, Detective Loki interrogates Keller Dover's mentally disabled friend, Father Patrick Dunn. Father Dunn sits silently, staring straight ahead. Loki takes a seat across from him and begins interrogation. Father Dunn finally speaks, his voice low and hesitant. He tells the man he killed was waging war against God by harming children. He goes on and explains that the man was abducting children in daylight, and sometimes more than one child at a time. Loki continues questioning, trying to get any information about the missing children. During a vigil held for the missing girls, Detective Loki spots a suspicious man watching the vigil from a distance and decides to chase after him. However, the man manages to run away, leaving Loki frustrated. The next day, there's a public announcement about the mysterious person, and police have labeled him as a prime suspect in the case. Meanwhile, Loki informs his superior that Alex has gone missing and is concerned about his whereabouts. Later, he visits a girl who claims to have seen the mysterious man. She tells Loki that the man often visits the store and buys clothes for children. Meanwhile, unable to keep the secret from his wife, Franklin tells his wife Nancy about Alex. Nancy talks to Keller and demands that she speak with Alex herself. Franklin resists at first, but then takes Nancy along with him. Hoping Alex would help her, she innocently releases him from his handcuffs. Grabbing the opportunity, Alex attempts to escape, but he's soon captured by Keller, who then locks him in a wooden framed box. Later, the mysterious person breaks into Keller's home in search of something. Keller's wife Grace hears something and goes to her daughter's room to find the window open. She starts to believe that her daughter was there. Later, Loki arrives to investigate the incident, but during all this, Loki notices that Keller isn't home. Soon he pursues Keller and informs him that Alex has been missing for 3 days and suspects Keller of having to do something with this. Keller angrily denies everything and says he's only searching for her daughter and nothing else. Loki, however, is skeptical about Keller's behavior. Later, he discovers that Keller's prison guard father committed suicide inside his home. From there, he gets the address to Keller's childhood home. Next day, while trying to get a confession out of Alex, Keller notices Loki outside his house. When Loki gets inside, Keller pretends to be sleeping, after which Loki requests a house tour. As they continue the tour, Loki's phone rings and he steps outside to answer it. The shopgirl tells him that the mysterious person had visited the store and also provides the license plate number of the car he was driving. Loki writes down the information and quickly leaves. Through the license plate, Loki tracks down the mysterious person and knocks on his door. Loki quickly pins the man down and neutralizes him. While searching the home, he finds the mutilated head of a pig and drawings of mazes all over the house. He also comes across several suitcases in a room, all of which are kept locked. After opening the suitcase, Loki finds children's clothes and snakes, which raises his suspicions even further. In another suitcase, he finds notebooks with even more drawings of mazes. Loki calls Keller into a conference room and shows the pictures of clothes recovered from the house. Keller starts crying and recognizes Anna's socks with blood stains. Keller warns Ralph that he will not tell his mother about anything. Meanwhile, Loki interrogates the mysterious person whose name is revealed to be Bob. After getting no relevant answers, Loki gets frustrated and starts beating him. During all this, Bob gets his hands on another officer's gun and commits suicide. Meanwhile, Keller pleads with Alex to tell him at least something about his missing daughter. Alex finally gives him a clue by telling him to look for a maze. In order to find out what Alex meant, Keller decides to visit his Aunt Holly. During his conversation with Holly, Keller finds out that Alex was adopted by Holly and her late husband when their son passed away from cancer. Before Keller could find out where the maze is, he sees the news of Bob committing suicide. Elsewhere, while looking at one of Bob's maze drawings, he finds a resemblance between the drawing and the medallion that was on the dead body of the man in Patrick Dunn's basement. Later, Loki finds out that the blood on the clothes they found in Bob's suitcase were pig blood and not human. A further investigation reveals that Bob was drugged and kidnapped as a kid, but escaped after 3 weeks. Moreover, Bob was only imitating the crimes of a famous uncaught serial killer, and wasn't committing any real crimes. But Loki is still confused on how Bob got his hands on the real clothes of those missing girls, which were even identified by their own parents. While investigating Keller's house, Loki finds a sock right outside Keller's daughter's room, which confirms that Bob had stolen the socks from the house. Soon, Brace receives a call on which she informs Keller that Franklin's daughter Joy has been found. However, there is still no clue about Anna. The concerned adults then head to the hospital but find Joy unconscious. When Joy gains consciousness, she recalls the incident and how she was able to escape. She further tells Keller that she saw him from where she was kept captive. Keller immediately knows where his daughter is and goes to find her. Meanwhile, Alex tries to find Keller and goes to his old house. There he finds Alex locked in a wooden box. Meanwhile, Keller goes to Holly and apologizes for everything that has happened so far. Holly invites Keller inside her home and then points a gun at him. She forces Keller to wear handcuffs and take some drugs. It turns out that Holly was the person who was responsible for the kidnapping of Anna and Joy. After Keller takes the drug, Holly reveals that after the death of her child, she and her husband kidnapped Alex, and he was their first child. Alex's real name was Perry. Then Holly tells him to sit in the car, and continues telling him that she and her husband started a war with God by kidnapping the kids so that the parents become hopeless, just like they were when their son died. But when her husband disappeared, she continued on and abducted more children. If we recall the story, Father Dunn also said that the basement guy said similar things, and turns out he was Holly's husband. Holly then shoots Keller in the foot and makes him enter a secret pit which she was using to keep her victims. Soon after Keller enters, she closes the pit. Inside the pit, Keller finds Anna's whistle and starts praying that she's alive. Meanwhile, Loki's superior tells him to inform Holly that Alex has been found. Loki reaches Holly's place and knocks at the door multiple times, yet no one answers it. Then he lets himself inside and finds a photo of Holly's husband. He notices that the man in the picture is wearing the same medallion that the basement guy was wearing. This clears everything for him. Just then, he hears something and sees that Holly is injecting Anna with something. Loki confronts Holly and a shootout follows in which both get shot. Holly dies on the spot, and Loki gets injured. However, he somehow manages to take Anna to the hospital. The next day, Loki reads the newspaper and sees an article about Alex reuniting with his parents after 26 years. And then another article on which there is a missing report on Keller. Anna, Joy, and their mothers thank Loki for his help. Loki then sees Anna's whistle and asks her what it is for. Grace explains that this is for safety so she can call for help, to which Loki asks where her old whistle is. Grace tells him that it got lost, so she got a new one for her. Later, when the police are still searching Holly's home, Loki hears faint sounds of a whistle. This whistle sound is being made by Keller, who's still in the pit. Loki hears the whistle, but the movie never really tells you if Loki was able to find Keller or not. That's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.